Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hindu Rashtra, our dear friends and like-minded people, our dear co-Sanatanis, welcome back to Saffronazi channel. Today we are going to discuss a topic which constitutes probably the darkest secret of the Muslim community. Some of the least highlighted, least talked about issue. This is the issue of degeneration, degeneracy. It is known that the percentage of incestuous marriages, particularly in the Muslim community, is shocking. The figures differ from country to country. I will read them out to you. I do not remember them all by heart, but it is actually shocking. And this degeneracy, this substantial deterioration of the genetic material leads to not only to many birth defects and much enhanced probability of genetic disorders of all sorts, but also to deviations in the libido. It is known for a fact that Muslim countries are top watchers of homosexual pornographic content online. Top. You will be surprised. Isn't it so harshly prohibited in Islam? Yes, it is. But this is where the hypocrisy is. Officially, it may be. It is. All right. But secretly, they would not be watching it in such numbers had they not had that perverse craving for it. So Muslim countries watch perverted homosexual porn more than anybody else, and the reason is again clear. It is linked. Their deviated libido, their perverted libido can be explained. The percentage of people with such deviation is a lot more in that community because of many generations of incestuous marriages, many generations of inbreeding. So this is another avenue of degeneracy. Now let us think about it. In the Muslim community, there is no escape route such as monastery. Like, in Christianity, there are monasteries and nunneries. What these monks and nuns have been doing behind the walls, they only know, and their non-existent God. But those who could not have a normal relationship, normal family and all, they always had an escape route, and it was kind of respected in the society that you dedicate yourself to God and all that blah blah blah. So it is a socially well accepted. It was probably not anymore. Nobody believes in that crap much nowadays in Europe, but it was at one point of time very much accepted. So they had the escape route. But in Islam, there are no such things as monasteries, where people with deviations in their libido, where will so many perverts go to. They are harshly condemned by Islam. The escape route could be jihad. You die for your religion, and probably it explains, it gives another explanation why this much of anguish, innermost anger of a pervert who cannot, neither he can or she can live normal life, nor he or she can escape into a monastery or a nunnery. Where will he or she pour himself or herself out. And escape route could be jihad. Blow yourself up. This is the escape route, and given proper indoctrination, toxic indoctrination with the extremist ideology, they do it in greater numbers than, say, extremists from any other community. It is so easily explained. So, degeneracy genetically, that makes larger percentage of people disposed towards such cravings, right? Perverted cravings. They cannot materialize it in reality, so they have deep-seated anger, anguish, hatred, fury, ideology, toxic extremist ideology channelizes it, and then once again, even degeneracy is so well guided and rooted that even that serves the overall purposes of the jihadis and their jihad. So everything falls kind of in place, and everything gets, in my opinion, a much better explanation. Blaming only extremist ideology, extremist jihadi ideology, probably will not be enough. Yes, it is extremely toxic, it is dangerous, it has to be banned, it's all right, there is no question about it. But those are the seeds that fall into extremely fertile soil of biological degeneracy, with perverted libido, with extreme anguish, with utmost fury and innermost anger towards the world. So channelize that, and the purpose of jihad will be served so much better. Well thought of, I should say. We must appreciate the sharpness of the evil minds who have been behind this entire scheme. Now I will read out a few figures which are going to impress you, as they have impressed me. 70% of all marriages in Pakistan are between cousins. Think about this. The other day I came to know that about 10% of the Pakistani population have serious problem with mental health. Mental health and degeneration are linked very much. I mean, I'm not a doctor to tell you exactly how much they contribute, but this is what, an amateur like me have been reading. So degeneration as a phenomena takes few avenues. One of the avenues, as I mentioned about, is sex perversions, and another avenue is mental disorder. So Pakistan, 70%. I'm continuing to read it out. In so-called civilized Turkey, their share of cousin marriages reaches 30%, substantially less, but still. Same as the figure for Algeria. In Bahrain, it is 46%. In Egypt, 33%. In Sudan, whopping 63%. Qatar, 54%, 67% in Saudi Arabia. In United Arab Emirates, 54% of marriages which are, concluded between cousins, between the close blood relatives. Imagine if this tradition continues from one generation to another, then the effect only gets multiplied. Then the percentage of people with deviations in their, libido, with a percentage of people with serious psychic problems, percentage of children born with defects will be many times higher. And I'm coming to these figures. You will be shocked. About 3% of the newborns in UK are children of immigrants from Muslim countries. 3%. And these 3% are related to 30% of all children born with some genetic defects. Imagine, the ratio is not twice, thrice, or even 5 times. The ratio is 10 times higher. 3% of newborns and 30% of all newborns with genetic defects. Shocking. This is what many generations of inbreeding did to the Muslim community. Moreover, children of parents who are biological cousins are known to have 10 to 15% lower IQ. And in a very competitive world, in a very competitive educational system, imagine there is a very high probability of, children from Muslim community to be slower, to be duller. It is not their fault, of course, but it is the fault of their ignorant parents, ignorant or blatant about their disregard to biology, who got themselves married to each other despite being close relatives. But the kids experience very often, I think they would be experiencing a big deal of inferiority complex, being 10 to 15% duller than children from other communities. And given that school is one rather cruel place where your classmates sometimes crack jokes, they bully you, they make fun of you if you are a little duller, slightly, but duller, visibly so. You imagine the amount of anger and hatred that it generates over the years in somebody who studies with people from different community. As such, if you're different from a different community, you knowingly or unknowingly, you will, there will be kind of, a little bit of an attitude towards you. You have to be brighter than others. This is what many Hindu kids are studying in US or UK in their schools. Then it is okay. Then it becomes an added advantage. But if you are different from your religious identity point of view, color of your skin, etc., and you are duller, you perform worse than the average of the rest, it becomes a problem. It creates a deep-seated feeling of insult, of hatred. So I'm coming back once again to the same issue, that ideology, toxic, extremely harmful jihadi ideology. Yes, it is one of the reasons, but it may not explain the whole thing. As I said above, these poisonous seeds fall into the fertile soil of degeneracy. And this is how these kids may easily become the raw material for making themselves jihadi, for creating, for channelizing their anger, their frustration, their offense, their insult that they have been carrying with them because somebody cracked jokes, made fun of their dullness. Perfect material. So jihad is not only an ideological phenomena. Yes, majorly ideological, but it has a biological angle to it. This is one thing which hardly anybody talks about. Those many generations of inbreeding among Muslims happens because their prophet Muhammad, who's a role model for them, married his own cousin. One of his 4 official wives was his own cousin. And here I would like to make one very important point. There is a preconceived notion that Muslims are kind of polygamous. Most of the Muslims, overwhelming majority of the Muslims, are not polygamous, because where will they get so many women from? We appear into this world with this or that set of genitals with the probability of about 50-50, maybe 49 against 51, or at the most 48 versus 52. So, in Muslim countries, if you look at the birth statistics, the boys are probably, the number of boys born in a given population is probably 1 or 2% more than the girls. So question is, where will they get so many women from? It is statistically impossible. So most of the Muslims are monogamous, contrary to the preconceived notions that most of the people have about them. So when it comes to the choice as to whom to marry, society often decides for them. And this is where incestuous marriages with one's own cousin or uncle marrying his niece, whatever, leads to, it helps keeping the wealth, the dowry within the clan. So economically, they may be motivated to do that. And moreover, if Prophet Muhammad, the role model, did that, there is no reason why we shouldn't follow it. So this is probably the logic. So once again, I would like to point out that the Gotra system in Hinduism, very ancient, very strong. Even today, we hear about killings of, say, young men and women who married within their own Gotra. So basically the reasons are purely eugenical. You have to keep sufficient distance in terms of generations to have healthier kids, to have much better chance to avoid genetic diseases of all sorts. Yes, somebody may say that somewhere in South India they practice it. Occasionally, very occasionally, but overall, the entire Hindu custom of Gotra, which is inseparable from the caste system. Much has been talked about caste system. It has been criticized left, right, and center. It may have many wrong things about it, right, but certain things were purely scientific. In this case, it's genetic, eugenical, and absolutely justified if strictly followed. And we have the reason to believe that in the ancient system, that Gotra system has been followed strictly.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hindu Rashtra.